This video is going to be how to make a starter. Now there's lots of ways to do it out on the web, but I have found through trial and error my way to do it, which makes the bread that I like, and I like the way that that bread tastes. So I will show you my secret, how I do it. First things first, you're going to need a jar to keep your starter in. So I use one of these. This is a little Le Parfait jar, and I took apart all of the stuff to seal the lid. So it's just the 2 pieces of glass, that's it. But what's really nice about this is it's wide open, so you can see and easily get in there and stir it, which is going to be required, okay? So this is how it comes when you buy it, like a jar like this. They come in different sizes. This is a little bit smaller. I'll give you the size of the jar I use. So I use one just like this. So I take it all apart and I keep 2 of them. So when this gets all crusty as time goes by, I scoop out the starter and I put it in the new one into this one, and then I start it all the same, you know, and just keep it going back and forth. The starter lives in your jar and has to be fed. To make a starter, you're going to need flour, water, a digital scale that will do grams, and you're going to need something to stir it with. And I really like this little OXO spatula. It's nice and hard, but it's got a soft tip like this, and it works really well for stirring in there and really whipping it up, because you want to mix the air in good, so that brings the beneficial wild yeast that's in the air and the bacteria, the good stuff, right? Mix it all in there. Okay, so you're going to need something like this. You can use a wooden spoon or a fork, but I'm telling you, something like this very thin one. Don't get, you know, one that is, don't use like one of these. This won't work. It's just not a good thing. You need something nice and thin like that. Okay, the next ingredient you are going to need is flour. So, and I don't just use any flour. I use the good flour, the organic King Arthur bread flour. You might see other things that say to make a starter, you need wheat flour or rye flour. Disregard all of that. I've tried those things. My way was better, okay? So this is the only flour that I use to make it, right? And it's the organic bread flour, right? I use this, my starter. This little starter is 3 years old. So what you're gonna do on day 1 is get your scale, turn it on, and get it set for grams, right? So you're gonna wanna get it set for grams, okay? Hit the little tar and get it down to 0. And you are going to put your glass on there and you're gonna weigh it. And you're gonna see, well, how much does this weigh without the lid? 409. So I always put a little piece of blue tape and put down the weight down here on the bottom. Always keep that down there because you're gonna need it later, believe me. All right, so once you have that, and then you can just mark it with blue tape or something. That's what I just use, the little blue painter tape stuff, and I write starter on there. So, because you're gonna be keeping it in the refrigerator. Next step is you're gonna put 60 grams of flour in this jar, and you're gonna put 60 grams of water. And I would recommend either using filtered water or bottled water or something that just doesn't have a lot of chlorine in it, okay? Because you don't want anything that's gonna kill the beneficial yeast and bacteria in here, because this is a living thing, it's alive, and I've been keeping it alive for 3 years. I use my filtered water. I have a pure filter. I just use that and I just pour it in. You don't want to use cups, teaspoons, tablespoon measurements, all of that, ounces. No, we don't want to use any of that stuff. We want to use just grams. You don't want to say, do I need a half a cup of water? No, you need 60 grams of water. So you put this on here and you tar it again and get it to 0. You put the flour in, 60 grams worth of flour. Then you do 60 grams of water. So pure filter, and then I just pour it in until it gets to 60. If you mess up a little bit and it's 63 and the other's 59, just add a little bit more to get them to balance out. They just need to be the same. You're going to want to take this and you are going to want to mix it real good and just keep getting it all mixed up until it's kind of like the consistency of pancake batter. And then you're going to want to put the cover on it and you are going to want to leave it for a day and let it start to ferment. This one here, I'll show you this so you can see. This one here, as you can see, has got bubbles in there, so it's already been used. I baked a loaf of bread with it, but it is ready to be fed right now. And that's something you'll be doing each day for the next 7 days to get your starter going. Day 1, we're doing this, we've got it. You're gonna leave it till tomorrow. When you check on it tomorrow, you probably won't see any bubbles yet or anything. Just give it a nice little stir, like this again. Don't do anything else with it though. Cover it back up and just leave it out on the counter for another day. So you'll have 48 hours go by, you come back, you might see a little liquid, brown liquid on the top. Don't worry about that, it's called hooch. It just means your starters needs to be fed. So what you're gonna do is just pour that little bit off or scoop it out with a spoon and you're ready to roll. You're gonna discard half of it. And that's where the scale comes in really important because you weigh this with the ingredients in it. So if it was like 410, it would be another 100, it would be another 120 on there. So you wanna take out about 60 grams out of there. Just take 60 grams out and discard it. And then you're gonna sit this down and you're gonna do the same thing. 60 grams of the bread flour, 60 grams of water again, and you're gonna give this a really good stir. And you're gonna put the glass lid back on top and you're gonna let that sit on the counter again for another 24 hours. You're gonna come back the next day and do the same thing. You might, at this point, as you get further, like day 5 and 6, you might get too much in this jar. So go ahead and just discard things and get it back down to about 120 in there. And then add another 60 of flour and 60 of water. You don't want to make it so that you're all the way up to the top when you're doing it because it's going to overflow as it starts to bubble. So just use your judgment on that. It's not going to affect it. There's also a larger jar, which I use too, and that might be a good idea for when you first start it. You could also buy one of these jars like I got at Target. The only thing is that even though it's a wide mouth, there's the sides, there has shoulders, and that makes it hard to do the stirring and the mixing. If you use a jar like this is completely, there's no curves in it whatsoever. So you can get down here and just scoop all the way around and get everything. I highly recommend this jar. That's not critical. You can use one of these jars, any jar. It doesn't really matter. You could do it in anything. But you want to have it loosely covered. Not tightly covered like this, because if you seal this, the gases in here from the bubbling are gonna make this want to pop. So it needs to be able to breathe while it's out on the counter, okay? So you're gonna go through this for about 7 days, doing the same thing, discarding half, putting 60 grams of water, 60 grams of flour in there, give it a good stir, and then put the cover on it and let it sit on the counter. And eventually you'll start to see it where it's really starting to bubble and double in size. So you don't really, whatever jar you're gonna use, you wanna make sure that after you've added your 60 grams of flour and water, that you're never more than halfway filled on the jar. And that's it. So you get to about day 7, you should get this down to about where you've got maybe a quarter of this filled, and then you do another 60 and another 60 and you feed it. Once it's bubbling really good, you'll actually be ready to start to make a loaf of bread with it. But if you're not ready to do that yet, then what I would recommend you do is just put this in the refrigerator and leave it. It can go for a week, even 2 weeks without getting another feeding when it's refrigerated. If you leave it out on the counter, you're gonna have to feed it every day. And that wastes a lot of flour, because you're going to be tossing flour away unless you plan on baking bread every day. You're going to be ending up throwing some starter away every day. So I'd recommend you keep it in the refrigerator. That's what this one's been in the refrigerator for years, and we're doing good. Like I said, every once in a while I change jars because this one kind of gets a little crusty at the top, and you know, it just really needs a good cleaning. And what I do with that is just put the other ingredient, you know, pour the starter in the new jar, and then I just wash this one really good in the dishwasher and save it for the next time. The little rubber band on here, right? That's my little guide when I am getting ready to bake a loaf of bread. So when I feed the starter, I like put the rubber band right where the line is of how high the starter is, so that I can gauge when it's kind of doubled in size. So when it rises up to about this high, I know I'm ready and I can use that to make a loaf of bread. I think that's all I've got on how to make the starter. Again, use King Arthur organic, unbleached bread flour. Well, it reminds me of the thing from Moonstruck. He goes, there's 3 kinds of pipe. He goes, there's the pipe that you've got, which is garbage, and you can see where that got you. And then he goes, and then there's brass. And he goes, brass is good unless something goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. And then there's copper, which is the only pipe I use. It costs money because it saves money. So anyway, I recommend this flour. I get it at the grocery store. Very good. Bread flour. It's important you use bread flour, okay? All right, that wraps it up for this one. I wish you good luck making your starter, and you let me know if you have any questions. Take care.